So IFRS 2, share-based payment. As the name suggests, share-based payment means share-based payment, right? So we are paying people based on the value of the shares of the entity. So let me go into my slide. So again, coming in from the book, this is in volume 1, IFRS 2. You can check the content and then look at it in that particular case. So what is the idea about share-based payment? Simple. Let's say that an entity has bought goods. Okay, so purchase of inventories for $10,000 from a supplier. Normally, when we buy inventories, it means that we've bought inventories, so you pay with cash. But sometimes the deal will be structured that, hey, we don't have money to give you, but we will pay you at some time in the future based on the value of our shares. That is the idea about share-based payment. Or employees have worked and we are supposed to give them money, but we said, hey, we're going to pay you based on the value of the shares of the entity. That is the idea about share-based payment. That's all. So unlike compensation of employees in IAS 19, as we discussed a moment ago, where we're giving people cash, here we are paying people based on the value of the shares of the company. That's why it's called share-based payment. And so generically, there are 3 types of share-based payment, and the way we account for them is also different. So you have to be mindful. So number 1, we have what we call equity settled share-based payment. So this is where we are just paying somebody based on equity shares. That's all. So you're not going to get money. So hey, supplier, we won't give you $10,000 cash. We'll give you $10,000 worth of equity shares in our business. That is called equity settled share-based payment. For employees, that usually will be referred to as share options. And we'll come back to that in a moment. That will usually be referred to as share options. So instead of giving you the money, we'll give you equity shares in our company. 2, cash settled share-based payment. Cash settled. So here, we will give you cash, but the money to be given to you will be dependent on the value of the shares of the entity. So based on the price or value of the entity's shares or other equity instrument. That's the second one. And to employees, usually that will be called share appreciation rights. And we'll come down to that in a moment. So we will give you money though. So hey, supplier, guess what? We'll give you some 10K. Yeah? But the money we'll be giving you will be based on the value of the shares of the company. And we'll come back to that in a moment. The third type of share-based payment is where the third party in question has the right to choose between either they will get money or they will go for equity shares. That's the third type. Transactions in which the entity receives or acquires goods or services, and either the entity or the supplier has the choice as to whether the entity settles the transaction in cash or by issuing equity shares. Stay with me carefully. That third part requires that it will be treated as a compound financial instrument in accordance with IAS 32 financial instrument presentation. So we must split it between debt component and equity component. It is like we are issuing convertible loan notes. So let me take it again. Let's start the discussion from the third type of share-based payment. So type 3 share-based payment, and we are looking at where the third party has an option to choose either cash or equity shares. So here, what we are saying here is that supplier, listen, we are buying inventories of 10K. We don't have money now, but we have a deal for you. 3 months from now, you can get some money based on the value of the shares of the company, or you can acquire some shares in our company worth $10,000. That is what we are talking about. So the third party has an option to choose between cash or equity shares. So let's look at the accounting treatment for this. So this transaction or this type of share-based payment is treated in accordance with the principles in IAS 32, financial instrument presentation. What does that mean? It means the fair value of the transaction must be divided, not dividend, divided into both equity and debt components. That's what I'm talking about. So we treat this like we would treat issue of convertible loan note. You get the idea? Like we would treat issue of convertible loan note. So how do we deal with it? Simple. Journal entry. So what the heck did we buy? Maybe we bought an asset, or it is an employee we are paying. So either we debit profit or loss, or we are debiting an asset because we bought an inventory or a PPE. We have to credit equity and credit liability. Okay, so this is where the principle shines. What is the liability? Simple. The liability component is the cash option of the transaction. So if the person is taking money, how much we will pay the money? That is the liability component. So this is the cash settlement option. So if we were paying the person, how much money will we give to the person? That is the liability component. So the balancing figure becomes the equity component. This is initial measurement. So we've bought from you. We owe you $10,000. But guess what? You have two options in 3 months' time. Get your $10,000 or get some equity shares. All right. How should we account for it in our books? Initial measurement. The standard says that this should be treated as a compound financial instrument in accordance with IAS 32 financial instrument presentation. How do we do that? It means we must split the transaction into debt and equity. So whatever we bought, whatever we are supposed to do, which is if it is a service, an employee has rendered a service, then we debit P&L operating expenses. But if we bought inventories from you or PPE from you, then we debit the asset. Now, the money we owe you must be split into debt and equity. What goes into the liability part is the cash settlement option in the deal. Remember, the cash settlement option is based on the value of the shares at the date of the transaction. Okay? So probably let me add that. Based on the value of the shares at the transaction date, then the balancing figure becomes the equity option. That is the initial measurement for type 3 share-based payment.
Ishi, sir.
Yeah?
If I understand you correctly, it means after we have bought the asset, we are going to we are giving the customer two options, right? To pay part in cash and the other part in equity.
No.
Right.
No. The whole money we owe you will be settled either in cash at some time in the future based on the value of the shares of the company, or you get equity, ordinary shares. So it's not part. It's two options. You either go for cash based on the value of the shares of the company, or you go for equity shares when it is due for you to make your decision. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So it is either or, not partly.
Oh, okay. So if it is either or, then why the treatment of, because in the treatment we have equity
And
portion and then cash. Yes.
Yeah, because any transaction where it's possible people get equity shares in the future is accounted for in accordance with IAS 32, financial instrument. We don't know what the person will do, but since they have a right to get some equity shares, we must recognize that equity component, pending what happens when the person exercises their option later on. So that is the idea. So the reason we are splitting between equity and debt is because of the fact that inbuilt in the transaction, the person is likely to get equity. We don't know whether the person will take his money or take the equity. But IAS 32 says it's a compound financial instrument because it has both equity component and debt component. And hence, we split it into the two. That's the rationale behind what we are doing. Is that clearer for you in that case?
Yes.
Okay. On subsequent measurement, what do we do? Stay with me carefully. You learned in your MBA or ICA level 2 under IAS 32 that the liability should be carried at amortized cost. When you get here, kill that idea. We don't carry the liability at amortized cost. The liability component will be remeasured based on the fair value of the shares of the company. So here we won't carry it at amortized cost. When we are doing IAS 32 proper, the liability component will be carried at amortized cost. But when you're in share-based payment, the liability component is not carried at amortized cost. Why? Because the initial measurement, you measured it based on the value of the shares of the company. So on subsequent measurement, it is the same thing we do. Because remember, we will pay the person based on the value of the shares of the company. See how beautiful it is? Yeah, that's it. So subsequently, the liability component is remeasured at the fair value of the share price. Okay, at the fair value of the share price. And then in that case, what happens is that any fair value gain or loss will be recognized in the P&L account. Any fair value gain or loss is recognized in the profit or loss. We are done. Oh, Nhyira, so what happens to the equity component? It will still be carried at the initial measurement value until the date where the supplier or the third party makes his decision. Then we will know the fate of that figure. That's all. We are done. That is share-based payment type 3. When the third party has an option to get either cash or equity shares. So let's crunch some numbers so you see how the principle plays out. We go to the question kit.